I don't know why A Day to Remember is saying you're welcome, because I never said thank you. The new studio album by the legendary pop-punk and metalcore outfit A Day to Remember, titled You're Welcome. Now, I'm a big Day to Remember fan. I think I've pretty much listened to everything that they've put out. And I gotta say, even though Bad Vibrations back in 2016 at this point, I think it was it really that long ago? Good lord. Was a little underwhelming for its standards. You compare it to this record, and it seems to be miles above it, just by pure, just enjoyable content that comes from it. I mean, not to say that all of it is bad, but I should not be feeling this indecisive on a Day to Remember album at all, you know? It's just like, I should really know how I feel, but I'm just torn. Very, very torn. Songs I don't like, Brick Wall. Why is that the lead off? Like, what the fuck kind of chorus is that? Like, I just was sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, a band known for making nice, catchy choruses just comes up with shouting brick wall in the worst type of way possible. It was just like, ugh. And then we have F.Y.M, which stands for fuck you money, and I get it, maybe trying to be sarcastic, but it's not working. Not working. High Diving, which just kind of sounds like that cheesy, like, early 2000s, like, MTV, like, surfer anthem thing that, you know, they'd have during, like, their little spring break special. It's just, again, not necessarily gross, but I just remember going, this from A Day to Remember? Okay, yeah. And then Only Money, which I guess is more of a sentimental song, but again, I was listening to this and going, no, not feeling it. Some of the songs I found okay. Mindreader, I guess, is one of the more pop-punky tracks on here. It does its job in some places, but for A Day to Remember standards, it's very mediocre. We have Bloodsucker, which again, I don't know if they had trouble writing choruses this record, but this one just fell flat too, and I think that's where this song just kind of became okay to me, was because the chorus didn't really do anything. Looks Like Hell is fine in places, but it's just unmemorable. Degenerates, yes, it somehow went from my least favorite to the okay, because at least listening to that song over some of my least favorites, I can say I did enjoy it a lot more. I at least bobbed my head in some places, and it resembled A Day to Remember in some way or another, where I felt like, oh yeah, this is actually them, although it does kind of sound like, you know, your typical Blink-182 track that you get now, and Jeremy McKinnon sounds like Ronnie Radke for some reason. I don't know, you find that a lot this album. It's just like, wow, okay, I don't know really what else to say there. And then Re-Entry, again, I think is fine. It's the second to last track on the record, but it is not necessarily that great. Which does leave me with my favorites. Last Chance to Dance, Bad Friend. That one probably resembled A Day to Remember the most. This was like the only song that I would say fans would listen to and really, really, really be satisfied with, because it does take you off of something like from Homesick and all this kind of stuff. So it's just, it's a nice little one. It's probably the heaviest track on here, but it gives you that tinge of metalcore and pop-punk that you will be satisfied from it. Then, of course, Resentment, which has been out for almost 2 years, as has Degenerates, but I already talked about that. Resentment, again, might be a little bit more poppier for people, but the chorus is catchy, that breakdown is nice, and it still, again, sounds like A Day to Remember for the most part. Viva La Mexico kind of gave me All Signs Point to Lauderdale vibes, where instead of going more with the heaviness with this one, they go more with the catchiness, and I think it does its job in that. Then we have Permanent, which again I think features really one of the last breakdowns that we're going to hear on here, and I just think it does its nice job, again, just being that catchy song, not necessarily relying on being heavy, even though it's got that breakdown in it. And then Everything We Need is a nice little acoustic track that I think does its job. It's no if it means a lot to you, but at least it does its job as an album closer. So yeah, this album was an up and down listen. I remember being not necessarily bored through most of it, but just sitting there wondering, where did this go wrong? Because it went wrong for the most part. It's like a lot of it didn't feel like a day to remember. And again, don't get it twisted. They're fine with experimenting. I'm not saying that that's the reason I hate this record, but they're going so off the rails that I can barely even recognize them anymore. And a band that was able to just, keep writing song after song after song on record after record that would just grab my attention, whether it was trying to be more softer, more of a pop punk song, or a little heavier. That's what made them great. And this record, they just threw you around, and there really wasn't, other than Last Chance to Dance, there really wasn't that one song where it was like, boom, this is it, this is them, this is the one. Because, Bad Vibrations, I think people complained a little bit more that it wasn't as heavy as usual and whatnot, but looking at that compared to this, holy shit, was there a lot more to enjoy. This one just gave me too many 50-50 vibes. A 5 out of 10's what I had to rate it, because I don't like it, I don't hate it, I'm just more disappointed in it because I know this is a band that can do better, and they show that on places on this record. But for the most part, I'm just left just in awe as to how bad a quality they have gone down even more since Common Courtesy 8 years ago. And I don't know. I don't want to lose faith in them. I really, really don't. Because this is really their first record that I'm looking at that I'm going, yeah, this one's not necessarily good or passable. And who knows, maybe one of these songs will grow on me to make it passable later down the line. But for now, aside from a couple songs, I really don't plan on going back and listening to this thing. And that's upsetting when you think about it being in a Day to Remember record. They reel you in. They want you to listen to their records. But this one just kind of seems half-assed. I'm sorry. This took them 5 years. This is the longest they've had in between records. And this was the best that they could come up with. Yeah, right, sure. Try again. But that's just my thoughts on this thing. You can tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this record? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What were your favorite songs and your least favorite songs from this thing? All I really have to say to finish it off is stay safe out there, wear your mask, and until then, I will catch you all in the next one.